Every 15 minutes in America, someone is killed in a drunk driving crash. This equals out to be 27 people every day. When choosing to drink and drive, you're choosing to take the risk of getting into a fatal car crash. I believe that we need to put an end to drinking and driving and make driving safer for everybody. In 1897, a 25-year-old London taxi driver was the first person ever arrested for drunk driving. In 1910, New York had created a law against drinking and driving. Then over 50 years later, the new road safety bill was introduced. This set the limit of 80 milligrams of alcohol in 100 cc of blood and became an offense to drinking over the limit. Today, although each state has a different law, most are, if your BAC, the blood alcohol concentration, is 0.08% or higher, it is illegal. Despite all the warnings, public awareness, and etc., people still have gotten behind the wheel of their vehicles intoxicated. Drunk driving has decreased within the last couple of decades for youth teens, but they're still at risk. A person of a BAC of 0.10 or greater is 7 times more likely to get in a fatal car accident than a driver who hasn't consumed any alcohol beverages at all. And a person with a BAC of 0.15 is 25 times more likely. For example, a 160-pound person drinking 2 12-ounce beers within an hour would have a BAC of 0.02, but is still 1.4 times more likely to have an accident over someone that is sober. When I was a junior in high school, we did a program called Every 15 Minutes. We had joined our public and private school together for 2 days. This program put us students through a real-life experience without the real-life consequences with drinking and driving or texting and driving. During the first day of events, they have someone dressed as the Grim Reaper and calls a student selected from the people in front of the class. The student is removed from the classroom, and every 15 minutes, someone new is removed. A police officer will enter the room and read the person's obituary, and which will have been written by the parents of the student. The student will return to the classroom with a white painted face and a tag and an every 15 minutes t-shirt. From then on, the student cannot communicate with others. After lunch, there is a traffic collision outside the school to be viewed by the student body. Rescue workers will treat injured students, and the students will experience a first-hand of the sensation of being involved in a traffic collision due to alcohol. They will be extracted by firefighters and paramedics. Police officers will investigate, arrest, and book the drunk driver. The student will actually go to the hospital and the ER and the police department for the jail for the purpose of being booked for drunk driving. At the end of the day, the students involved will be transported to the local hotel overnight to an overnight student retreat, where they had been given up their phones and not communicate with anyone but the other participants. The next day, the 2 students that died on the scene of the crash would have a funeral where the whole student body had to attend. Going through this experience of losing one of my best friends and not being able to see her or communicate with her made it all feel so real. There are so many ways to prevent this from happening. You can always find a designated driver, call a taxi or an Uber. If you are close to home, you can always walk, and you can always give your keys to a sober friend. There are so many ways to prevent drinking and driving to happen. This shouldn't be a common thing. Next time you think you or a friend are okay to drive home, think of all the possible consequences and find a better way home.